Gentlemen, everybody, welcome to the 2025 Kickstart Invitational podcast, where we dive into the soul of the Kickstart Invitational. I'm, of course, your host, Kyle Steffi, alongside Justin and Carter McPhail. In each episode, we'll be bringing you the latest developments, expert analysis, behind-the-scenes interviews, and exclusive insights of the Kickstart Invitational. Justin and Carter, how you guys doing?
I'm doing great, Kyle.
I'm doing well. Thank you, Kyle.
Finally nailed the intro. I feel like the last couple of weeks has been a little touchy.
I could tell you were slowing down on that one to really enunciate it well.
When I switched it brief, like just the teeniest bit in the off season, and
yeah,
it really had thrown me for a loop here for a while. Got a special guest here with us. Before we get to Carter, you want to give us a word from Dunham's here?
Sure. Like always, this episode is proudly sponsored by Dunham Sports, your one-stop destination for all things sporting goods. Whether you're into hunting, fishing, or loving every day, Dunham's has everything you need to elevate your experience in the great outdoors. Get ready to step up your game with Dunham's exclusive offer. Use code Kickstart25 for an amazing 20% off on all golf gear and accessories. Exclusions may apply.
What are you flinging that thing around for?
Who?
You.
You were going like this.
You were all over the place with that.
Was I doing that?
Whoa, that's a visual.
I'm saying.
Somebody edit that.
This shit's crazy.
Chat, clip this,
I thought you were trying to distract me with the wrist motion.
You were just flopping that thing around in front of your face.
Yeah, well, some of us have the upgraded equipment.
Be nice if my co-host got me a Christmas present. One-time champion of the Fantasy Foot Show League as the owner of the Primo Pussies. One-time conductor champion with the Kickstart Invitational. One-time Rookie of the Year. Known for having the freakiest feet in continental USA. Big disliker of meatball subs. Mr. Parker Mitchell, welcome back to the program.
Woo! Thank you, sir. Thank you, boys. Glad to be on.
You're a Kickstart in. This is actually your second pod as well. You were the last pod before the trip last year. You've had, almost a full year of Kickstart experience. But first question we ask all of our guests: what does the Kickstart mean to you, Parker?
Yeah, it's a great question. Since my first Kickstart, all I've really been thinking about is the next Kickstart. So. Really what the Kickstart means to me is like it's just the best trip of the year. Love playing golf with the boys and playing some competitive golf in a friendly manner, and it's just a good weekend to get away from everything and play some golf with the fellas. It's really all it is for me.
So when do you have a specific one Kickstart memory that you think back on from last year's event that's your standout memory from the Kickstart from the time you guys left to drive over to the time you guys got home?
Yeah, there is a lot to remember on that trip. I just remember my favorite part of the trip, or just the most memorable moment for me, was when I was playing with Carter in the singles match. That's when I was most locked in and just wanting to win, and really feeling the pressure of playing some competitive golf. And there was a moment where I was up 2, I think, on Preston, and then ended up going down, lost 3 in a row, and I was really was not in a good place. And then Carter calmed me down. My most memorable shot is I hit a nice little flop shot. I think it was on 14. I was short-sided on a bunker, hit a flop shot, got up and down for par to win a hole.
Awesome.
And that's what that was my most memorable moment, I think, from it. But other than just everything else, rattling the bog with the boys, staying at the B&B with everyone every night is the best night. So those are awesome.
Yeah, I don't know well, sorry to cut you off, Jay. I know. I don't know if you guys are all that familiar with Endgame or Infinity War, when Wanda Maximoff tells Thanos, "I hate you," and he goes, "I don't even remember who you are." This reminds me of Parker's shot on, I think it was 16 at the Mines.
Oh, 15.
15. The fucking one of the most unbelievable shots I've seen in my life. And he did
The par 4 over the ravine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wraps it around the tunnel, puts the knife in our back for the match.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even worth a mention.
He had hit driver long left, like just like over the green into the rough, but it's on that big bank. After discussions, me and him decided that I was going to hit 5-wood, and was just stuffed in the front of the like cliff basically. And I was walking from the cart path basically behind Parker as he was hitting to go down to hit my ball from the depths of despair. And this guy chips it almost straight parallel to the hole. And it just goes plunk, 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 rolls down, and just goes in. And I just started sprinting past him.
Right. I can't believe
I
I
was
actually
like-
forgot about that. That was
Like this guy just made a 2, and this match is over essentially.
It killed us. It killed us. One of the more unbelievable shots I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
For a net eagle.
Yeah. Sorry, Jay, to cut you off.
No doubt.
No, I mean, you touched on, there's a couple different, all the courses are a little different, and we're going to get into talking about, what a potential fourth course would look like. But of the 3, and including, I know you played the practice round at Thornapple with us last year, but do you have a favorite course of the bunch? Not just how you played or how the match went, but try if you can to isolate the course itself.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty easy. Like Pilgrim's Run was my favorite. I think just the way we set that up too, with that being the last match and that being the singles, and just the way that course finishes, I think those finishing holes are amazing. So, I think it's also probably the most, in my opinion, the most pristine course we play. I think that's just a favorite. That was my first time playing it this past year, and I bought a hat, I bought a t-shirt, I bought a glove. Like I was like, this place is sick. And I plan on buying more gear when we're there this upcoming year.
By far the best golf shop for sure. That feels like a real, the other ones, it feels like the golf shop is just kind of, an add-on because you're supposed to have it, and like they need to, have a little more in there than just some, cheap golf balls and gloves in case you forgot yours. But for sure, Mike does a great job of and probably his first assistant do a great job of setting up that golf shop and bringing in some good merchandise. They got a nice shop in there for sure. Makes the whole experience feel a bit elevated.
I agree.
So
I think it's the most complete course that we play, was just far as just experience wise. Like it's got literally everything.
yeah, so let's kind of get into a fourth course discussion here. I used and Chase and Carter and Cullen were heavily involved in picking the 3 courses that we have as mainstays on this trip. But there's another a podcast out there called the Fried Egg Golf Podcast. If you haven't checked it out before, they do a great job. They've really grown my knowledge of golf course architecture and things of that nature. And this whole trip was more than greater than 0% inspired by a article they wrote called Best Bang for Your Buck Golf Trips. And they talked about the Mike DeVries trio here in Grand Rapids, which is the Mines, Diamond Springs, and Pilgrim's Run. And we don't have another Mike DeVries course in the area, but there's a few more I think that would be worth checking out for us. And I've got them listed down here. Basically, the ones that I think would fit well into this trip would include Thornapple Point, Stoughton Bray, and the Mines. A couple other ones,
The Meadows.
that are probably
The Meadows.
the Meadows. Yeah, my bad.
I'd like to play the Mines as the fourth course.
I know you would, and
It don't
I
cost
would
nothing.
too. As my favorite course on the trip, I think that would be pretty cool for the Mines to be in there. But yeah, the Meadows, Thornapple Point, and Stoughton Bray, which would be a little bit more of a drive. But some other courses in there like Ellie Kaufman, Quail Ridge, stuff in the area that's okay, but wouldn't really fit in on this trip. And we'll get into a little discussion about that. But Cart, why don't you start? Give us a little bit of kind of your 2 cents on what course stands out to you out of those, and is there one that you're kind of pulling for, or that you think matches up the most with the rest?
I haven't done a ton of deep dives on is it Quail Ridge and what's the other one? Brayburn?
Stoughton Bray.
Stoughton Bray. I don't know much of anything of those other than just knowing that we've talked about it. It's been a discussion of the past of the Meadows. And unfortunately, I have been pinned as a Meadows hater, which I think is incredibly unfair.
And probably true.
It's just outright untrue. But my point always, I guess, being against the Meadows is in the, I think 3 or 4 times that I've played there, it feels like you're on a college campus to me.
It does, yeah.
Feels like you're in a city. There's holes along the highway. There's holes where you could essentially hit it onto the softball field at Grand Valley, which I don't care for much. When I think about the 3 courses that we play at the Kickstart, it's this kind of northern Michigan or western Michigan feel. Like the Mines is, I mean, it's in downtown, but when you're at the course, it feels like you're in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
Secluded. Diamond Springs is in the middle of nowhere, and then it's just, oh yeah, here's a cow field with a bunch of holes in the ground that we cut all at one length, and it's probably my favorite course on the playlist. And then Pilgrims runs the same way. It's very secluded. Every hole feels like it's its own world, really. So that's kind of why I feel like the Mines has been something that I've been skeptical of adding, just because I don't think it fits the, as the kids are calling it, the vibe.
The Meadows.
Oh yes, the Meadows. Sorry.
I'll get you back. All square.
It's almost like we were made by the same 2 people.
Yeah.
The Meadows feels like it's on a college campus to me. It feels a lot like khaki.
Yeah.
I know the jury's out on khaki.
I don't think we should maybe go there, but I get what you're saying. That
Thornapple, we intentionally played it last year for the practice round as a little bit of a scouting trip. I liked it. I felt like it fit that bill a little bit better than my experiences have been at the Meadows. Some really good holes, some simple holes. Par 5 on the front that kind of goes along the river, I thought was really cool. Didn't care much for playing in the practice round against Kyle double dotting on par 3s. I thought that was criminal. Glad I didn't have to face him in the real tournament with any action like that, really.
Got to play through
because he hit all 4 par 3s in regulation, and it was suffocating. Me and Parker still came out on top, fortunately, due to some skillfully omitted information on 10 tee box.
We're talking about courses here, bro.
I'm just saying.
What tangent are we on here?
I'm just saying I liked it. Didn't like playing against Kyle there, but I liked it. I thought it was a great match play course. I'll leave it at that. Hit it in the water on 10 again, Brendan, if you're watching. Dummy.
Yeah, purposely leaving out information.
Whispering to Parker in the cart that, hey, there's a stream out there at about 2:45. We're not hitting driver. And then watching Mac hit his best drive of the day and turn around and see us with wood and hybrid in hand and going, wait, is there water out there?
Parker,
do you have any? Go ahead, Kyle.
No, Parker. I mean, you played Thornapple. I believe you played the Meadows before. You've lived in Kalamazoo, but I don't remember you saying you've played. Is it Stoughton Bray, Jay?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hadn't played that one. The only courses that I played on that list were the Meadows and Thornapple, and I voted for Thornapple. I think if I was to add a fourth course, that'd be it.
I think Carter does, even though maybe the discussion got a little bit off topic there, he does bring up a point that it sort of does give off the same vibes, maybe except for the one hole that he likes the most that goes right along the Grand River. I think he's conveniently left out the fact that I-96 goes right over top of that tee box as well, a major highway, but yeah, it does feel a lot more like the other courses in the sense that it's, surrounded by woods and not wide open views of the Allendale campus of Grand Valley State University. But we do have some options when we talk about these courses. All three of them have a good selection of tees that we can play, the proper tees for what we've been playing in the past. For the discussion, we're playing them mostly around like 6,200 yards. Each of the courses, the Mines is playing at 6,135, Diamond Springs is playing at 6,162, and then Pilgrim's Run, last year we played the 2-3 combo tees, which is 6,200 yards. So they're all playing around the same distance. We can play the Meadows at 6,361. We can play Stoughton Bray at 6,230 yards. And Thornapple Point, I guess the best tees for us would be about 6,500. So I'm going to play a little bit longer, not anything, everybody on the trip couldn't handle. But I will throw out there that Stoughton Bray probably is going to feel and look. I mean, you guys saw some pictures that I sent in the group chat. It's going to feel and look a lot closer to Diamond Springs. Semi open, heather, not that much rough, really wide fairways and things like that. A lot of slope on the greens the way that Diamond Springs has, but probably the speed of the greens and the conditioning is going to be closer to what we see at Pilgrim's Run or the Mines. I haven't looked into what the price tag of it is going to be. Chase has told me that he's read a number of articles. They don't have their 2025 rates online right now, but that he's read a number of articles that say that peak rates, even in middle of the summertime, are under $100 for 18 with a cart. So it's well within our budget. It's not a big deal there. Meadows would be the same way, well under $100. Thornapple Point, I think, would be right around that 90 to 100 mark too, and probably not at the time that we would play it. So they're all pretty comparable in that sense. But Stoughton is designed by Tom Doak. If anybody knows anything about golf architecture, he's going to be very similar stylistically to Mike Kaiser or
Mike DeVries.
To Mike DeVries, yeah. And then the Meadows has the same golf course architect as the Arcadia Bluffs South course. Obviously a very different style up there, but somebody that has a pretty good resume as far as golf course architecture goes, if you're really into that sort of thing. So we'll have some more discussion about it, and hopefully over the next month or so we'll have it nailed down to which one we want to go to. But do any of you guys have any questions or thoughts on any of the three courses that we might be able to, you might think some of the other guys in the chat have that we can maybe talk about here before we go back to the group?
I don't know of any other ones. I did just do a quick Googlage of Stoughton Braid, the 2021 National Golf Course of the Year.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's voting
I
on
don't
that?
know. Yeah, I don't know what publication that's from. I don't know.
Playing fast and firm, it says. And I'm looking
Should
at it.
be
It
playing.
looks like the South Course from Arcadia. Wide open,
Yeah, I
heather
think
between the holes.
It visually looks pretty sweet.
it
They do a
is.
good job marketing this on the internet. I'll say
They
that.
do.
Well, they've got a big. It's owned by the Gull Lake View Golf Resort, so it's got a big marketing budget.
6
They've got
courses.
some, yeah, 7 courses. Part of a group that obviously is hiring professional photographers and um, putting their name out there for sure. I think it's probably the most well known of all the courses at Gull Lake. So, but it's going to be an hour and a half from the Airbnb. I think we've talked about it's not as big of a deal when we're talking about, a 5-day trip versus a 3.5-day trip like we've been doing in the past. So,
I looked it up. It's an hour 7 from the Airbnb.
okay.
Diamond
From the new
Springs
one?
is 37.
Mm-hmm.
Pilgrims, I think, is 40.
Yeah. So it's in the same direction as Diamond Springs, but we'd be hopping on the highway instead of just taking back roads. Um, I'm sure at that time in the morning when we'd go and play it, there could be some traffic, I suppose, but we'd be going away from the city, so I'm sure it won't be too bad, and it's mostly highway driving, so it'd be an hour or less, I'm sure. And
I would have skepticism of the return in
depends
that
what time.
later afternoon.
I don't want to give anything away, but I
So don't.
think our return would be smooth.
I agree. You're going towards town when I would think most of the traffic would be going away from town, especially if we're talking about a weekday. Um, so I don't see that being a problem. I think what I was getting to a little bit earlier was that Chase and I think the two of you, he Kyle brought up a great question, which is does it have the potential to be someone's favorite course on the trip? And I think of these 3, Stoughton, the Meadows, and Thornapple, I think Stoughton does have the highest potential for that. So we'll give it some consideration. We'll talk about it amongst everyone else. I think Thornapple would only be like 12 minutes away from the Airbnb or 15 minutes away, which is a plus in that column as well. So
Same with Meadows.
yeah, Meadows would be extremely, extremely close as well. Not quite as close as the Mines is, but
Yeah.
if you guys are trying to narrow down where the new Airbnb is, we're giving you hints right here.
Good luck.
Yeah, get your
Yeah.
red yarn at and try to figure it out, bud.
So
Good luck. No, I'm excited for all of them. I liked Thornapple. Obviously golfed at the Meadows in college. So I good memories in that course. Hearing that Stoughton Break could be my favorite and could rival Diamond Springs and Pilgrims, gets me a little excited. But we'll have it dialed in the next couple weeks and keep you guys updated.
yeah, Thornapple was a pleasant surprise to me. I gave it a lot of, negative
Whack.
press before we went and played it in the practice round, and I was pleasantly surprised.
A good track.
Good hot dog.
Best food on the trip. Diamond Springs, hand down.
Okay.
Well,
Best
best course food,
BLT was amazing.
good service, excellent service. Art, do you have a player profile for our guest here? Can you read us his tangibles before we get into our next segment?
Yes, I can. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we are proud to welcome back Parker Mitchell to the 2025 Kickstart Invitational. once known in his youth as Freaky Feet, Parker has officially cemented his name in the Kickstart Invitational history books, overcoming a series of significant injuries in his youth, including a broken tibia and fibula in 6th grade football, fractured L5 vertebrae in 8th grade football, broken wrist in 12th grade soccer. Parker's resilience and determination have always set him apart. 2017 Lake Fenton High School graduate, made his mark as a varsity golfer, forming a formidable duo with longtime teammate Carter McPhail. In 2024, Parker took his game to another level, capturing the Rookie of the Year title in a unanimous vote and helping lead the Conductors to another championship with a 1-1-1 record in 4-ball and a clutch singles victory over Preston Beard. Parker delivered 2.5 points in his debut, proving he belongs among the top players. His chemistry with Captain Carter McPhail remains a key storyline heading into 2025, as the newfound duo looks to build on their past success. Currently carrying a 5.4 handicap index, Parker returns with even higher expectations. However, the Southeastern Nevada scout Don Kelly describes his game. His game isn't about fireworks, it's about force. Parker doesn't overwhelm you with power or flash, but his calm demeanor and steady pressure make him a challenge you'll have to overcome. He's never going to beat himself, and that alone makes him a very dangerous opponent. With his name already etched into the record book, the question remains, can he go back-to-back?
You got to wonder about the work ethic on your scouting team. I mean, he was able to check out Parker, who's in Ypsilanti there, and he could have gone right down the road and checked out Joey, but he didn't.
No one's saying he didn't.
On the podcast with Joey, we didn't have a scout that checked out Joey.
Well, he just didn't have anything
to be unseen.
He just didn't have anything particularly additive.
He's the Southeastern Nevada scout, Kyle.
He liked what he saw. He didn't need to go anywhere else.
I'm about to start getting on the horn with your Southeast Michigan Ford dealers if you wanted me to try to put another scout on the payroll, but funds are thin. Look, no one is using the Dunham's code, so we ain't getting no kickback. Only three people have paid, so I'm still financially in the hole for the Airbnb.
Parker had the third best rookie year of all time at the Kickstart Invitational. Had a 2.0 strokes gained, bettered only by Carter McPhail's 2022 and by Jake Transit, who I didn't even know this before, but he gained 4.38 strokes in his rookie year.
Sandbaggery.
Kind of makes that other cooler that Esser got maybe feel a little bit symbolic or unsymbolic, I guess. Very impressive. He played great, obviously, last year. Ended up being a steal in the the third round that he ended up going in.
Yep.
I think we'll take a short break here for an Alliance beverage ad, and then maybe Parker can talk to us about some more guys that might be steals in this year's upcoming draft as we get into his Mel Kiper big board here. But that being said, we're going to thank Alliance Beverage for this sponsorship of the podcast. Obviously, this episode is sponsored by Alliance Beverage. We're not sure. We think they probably do know that they sponsor this podcast, but they're a local beer distributor here in Traverse City. Alliance exists to help fulfill and enhance the quality of lives of their associates, customers, suppliers, and community. Alliance is here to support the Kickstart Invitational, the Kickstart Draft, the event, and the pursuit of great golf and great friends.
You think the listeners of this pod skip through our ads like I do on like Barstool or Bill Simmons, or do you think they listen?
I think they listen.
I think they listen only because most times we get through them so quick.
This is true.
So before we get into the big board, you ever been watching a video and the creator of the video they obviously do their own ads in the middle? Like the Bob Does Sports guys will do this. They'll have the Breezy apparel ad.
Mm-hmm.
The most instantly angry I ever get watching a YouTube video is when I'm watching the in-video ad and the YouTube video stops for the extra ad.
That's true.
Where I'm
You
like,
just
I'm
know
getting,
that
I'm getting double stuffed here
Yeah.
with advertisements. Like
You're
I'm
getting-
watching the built-in ad and then it's pausing and being like, oh yeah, Credit Karma.
you are getting DP'd at that moment, yes. And I feel like that is something very basic they could check off and say, hey, this already has included ads. You don't have to put ads on this one.
They're greedy.
No,
You don't think they're doing it on purpose by chance?
I do. I think
Because when you
it's
try to skip the
unscrupulous.
ad in the video,
Right.
it's when it pauses it and says no.
I mean, good for them. I mean, that's just American capitalism at its best. You're just capitalizing on, YouTube ad revenue while you've already taken money from someone else for an ad that you had to build in. But just feels a little bit shady to me.
I don't disagree.
I've been going back and forth on getting YouTube Premium.
I have it, and I'll never
Do
go
it.
back. It's a
Yeah, I got it too. It's awesome.
It's a
How
death
much
grip.
is it? Does it come with YouTube TV?
Fuck no.
What
There's
the?
a-
No, I mean, does YouTube TV come with premium?
Fuck no.
It's
How
always
expensive
something.
is that
It's always
shit?
something with these guys. Just a nickel and diming you. Nickel and diming you to death.
How much is that a month?
22 at bought 22 a month, I think.
I don't think
22
it's that
American
much.
dollars?
That's what mine is. Am I getting just taken advantage of right now by
YouTube Premium
What do you-
costs $13.99 a month for the individual plan, $22.99 a month for the family plan. Are you getting family planned?
I might have the family plan.
This is a problem.
I need to call my financial advisor and say, well, how'd this
I
happen?
got NFL on YouTube. What do they call it? Sunday Ticket. For this season, $99, $9 extra for Red Zone. Quite useful, but I won't probably not be getting it again.
Yeah, Jay?
You know what this feels like? That ad scenario we just laid out. We're giving you an ad for YouTube Premium after we just read an ad. So I'm just going
We
to
are
explain.
shitting on it. This is an anti-ad. So we're
So
getting
this is a
demonetized
mix-
and suppressed.
This is a mock draft / big board here. We don't really know what we're doing. We're stepping on the toes of next week's guest, I believe, by doing it this way as well. But let me just lay out how this draft works. Everybody knows it's the only league in the world that does it this way. But the returning captain gets the first overall pick, and he's going to have the first pick in every round going forward. Okay, primarily because one person on the committee, one person on the board of trustees hates snake drafts, thinks they're really, really stupid, especially when there were only 6 players available and then only 10 players available. And now, with enough players available probably to do a snake draft, he still hates it. So in round 1, Carter would pick first, then the captain of the Tornadoes, Jake Transit. Round 2, same thing, Carter first, then Tricky, all the way down 7 total rounds, 14 players available. Parker, start us off. Who's number 1 on the big board?
So yep, on the big board, it's easy. It's you, Jay. Justin as number 1. Listen, it's
Not
the MVP. It's the most consistent player on the trip, in my opinion. Just like a python. The constant pressure you put on opponents, I think, is that low of a number. Like you're just throwing up low 70s every round. I mean, I know handicaps are involved, but I don't see a way where you're not number 1 on the big board. It's just it is what it is.
Low 70s net, by the way. Sometimes high 60s.
Yeah.
Real score. Just saying. Sometimes you might shoot
one-
68 and lose.
One playing devil's advocate here. I mean, Jay's obviously, I don't know how much of a debate it is, but he's been the highest performer, kickstart to kickstart, year to year. The guy comes to play, maybe only rivaled by his brother, but I mean, Justin's going 1-1 in every draft. Parker, did you take into account there is a child in the picture coming soon, and that he could leave the trip early? Where does his draft stock leave you with the uncertainty of maybe having to take a red shirt for a round or two?
Yeah,
I'm not picking him.
it's it's definitely something I thought about. I think if Jay is there on the trip, I mean, like I said, if he has to leave early, then that's just you kind of roll the dice type thing.
Rub
I
of the
think you got to
green,
go.
really.
Yeah, I think you got to go with best available at the one spot, and it's just yeah. I think Jay's the pick. I mean, I do have a number two, um, right after Jay that I think isn't. I don't think it's a surprise. It's our MVP from last year. I think Cullen is our number two. He's getting more dots this year than he did last, and he was great last year. I mean, I didn't get to play with Cullen, so I think I've got a unique perspective where I'm really looking at scores, but also just locker room guy too, where I'm talking to all the boys at the course because there's a lot of guys I haven't played with, and I haven't played with Cullen at all. But just seeing some of the videos, that dude's ball striking is for that high of a number. It just doesn't make sense to me, and it never will. So I just think he's at number two, easy. At a 10-4 is what I saw his handicap. So
Yeah, most recently a 10-4. I'll give you a couple stats here. He's gaining 0.28 strokes per round on the field. That's a stroke over the fields over the course of the event. So he's obviously a positive, he's going to beat more people than he loses to just off of his basic average. And getting more dots than he ever has before is, it seems backwards. It seems illogical. Cart, I know you don't want to give away anything for free on here, but what are your thoughts on Cullen getting over 10 dots this year?
That's a lot of dots. The reality is he's a good player. With that many dots, it's hard to pass him up. That being said, there could be a character issue there. That having had him on the conductors once, got a little bit of an inside look at that, which didn't come to fruition until after the tournament last year was brought to my attention. Maybe some focus issues focused on maybe potentially the wrong things coming down the stretch. And, when you're trying to make a push to do the unthinkable and win a fourth straight, you got to surround yourself with guys that have their heads screwed on straight.
For those at home wondering what in the world is Carter talking about, Carter is bitter that Cullen voted for himself for MVP as the deciding vote instead of voting someone else as a maybe more earnest move. The board has talked a little bit about this, and I will quit the Kickstart if I don't get my way on this. We will not be allowing self votes for any awards this year. That's crazy. Crazy.
Heard it here first, folks. We are looking for the next replacement, the Kickstart Invitational.
I'll quit. I'll stand on more. I'm on your side in this, you idiot.
Oh, so now we're turning on hurtful. There goes whatever spot you have Kyle listed,
Now,
Parker.
listen.
When we get to Kyle, move him down too. Speaking
Look,
to me in this tone.
I just want to put out, I read this maybe a little differently as Kyle did. I read this more as a misdirection effort by Carter. So throwing out that there's a character issue there when we have guys on the trip that have never even met Cullen before, let alone played golf with him, who are saying they most want to play with Cullen. I'm not sure how you can ascertain that there's a character issue there. You got guys that have only ever seen him type things on a screen that are saying that he is their partner they want to play with the most. So character issues, absolutely not. This has to be a misdirection effort. Parker, who's third on your big board?
Yep, on the board. It's lame, but I've got myself there.
It's fair.
Yeah, I don't really need to dig much there. I got myself at the 3 hole. I think last year I put up good numbers. with the one loss. I think bringing in 2.5 points makes sense. Game feels good right now, so I'll throw myself in the 3 hole. But in my 4, I got Mr. Chase Bauer. I think and I got to play with Chase once last trip, and I mean, obviously he was the captain last year. I think his calm demeanor until he needs to. Like, I feel like Chase was calm until he didn't need to, and then he'd turn a switch, and then he'd just start firing off net birdies and whatever. But
He's a sicko with a wedge in his hand.
yeah, he made some unbelievable chip shots around the green, and he's also
Disgusting.
he's also getting more dots this year as well. He's 2-1 in singles all time, which, I mean, I was looking at some of the stats in previous years. Like, I think that's just a guy, and also he's a captain, former captain. I think whichever team drafts him, you're getting a second captain, in my opinion. So, I think he's good at keeping his guys he's playing with in tune, and it's also a redemption year for him after losing last year. So,
Get Grange on the pod. Come on.
It's pissing me off. I'll mention before we get any further, Parker. I will say I have the same top 4 as you on my small board. I've got number 2 and 3 flipped on my board, but I think you're bang on thus far. You shouldn't feel bad about putting yourself where you put yourself, because I think you had a great year, and I wholeheartedly agree with your Cully and Chase takes. You know, a couple guys that performed extremely well last year and are somehow getting more dots according to their handicap if the Kickstart started tomorrow. I don't know how you could get any more value than that.
for sure.
I definitely think the talk of the offseason and not as much Carter will be worrying about, but I imagine Tricky is going to be thinking about Cullen or Parker. Who does he go with? I mean, Cully did win MVP last year. I believe Parker still had more strokes gained than Cully. Somebody fact check me on that, but I believe that to be the case. Parker's getting less dots, Cullen's getting more, but yeah, I think Tricky's going to be potentially losing sleep over that. And then on Chase, I'm on record for loving playing with Chase. He's one of my favorite partners on the trip. I love him.
I love playing with you, Chase, and was it Mac?
Yeah.
That was a great round. There was so much camaraderie from Mac, essentially hosel rocketing one off the tee at that par 3 at Diamond Springs, the real long one next to that backyard, and me just going develop. And Chase caught the giggles for 2 holes. After that, I thought that was one of my favorite moments and one-liners from last year's trip.
Yeah.
Number 5, Park. Number 5.
All right, number 5. I got Mr. Preston Beard at my 5.
Good
so
pick.
I got him there. I played
Overrated.
almost every round with Preston last year. The guy, Mr. Punch, dude. This guy makes the most unbelievable punch shots I've ever seen. He'll top his driver 40 yards into the thickest part of the course, and then he'll hit the most perfect punch up to greenside, chip on, and it's just routine, just net par.
Barbecue chicken.
Yeah, it's so
Barbecue
frustrating
chicken.
to watch too. But I mean, Birdie Juice too. I think he's a good teammate to have out there. He's 3rd all time in points as well too. Looking at the stats, so the guy just puts up numbers. I think he felt the fact he was the last pick last year. Obviously that was my first year. Looking back at it, I don't understand that one. No, I guess that didn't really make sense to me. But I think he fell way too far last year. He had a chip on his shoulder. He played well, so I don't think that same thing will happen this year.
I totally agree. I also have him in my 5 spot on my small board over here that I just keep for fun. Phenomenal pick. He couldn't have raised his stock anymore with his performance last year. The only way he could have is if he went 4-0 and dragged the Golden Harps across the finish line at the end. But he pretty much did everything anybody asked him to do last year. So
Sure.
phenomenal value, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Good guy to have on your team. I know Carter does not like playing against him, just because he is an ultra competitor. It's a fun matchup whenever you're going against Preston, a guy you want on your team, not against you. So it wouldn't shock me either if Carter gets in there in that third round.
Yeah, 100%. And then I think this is where my list gets. I got at my 6 hole. I got Mr. Cody. I got Cody there. I think he's cutting. He's getting 2 less dots this year than he is before. A guy I didn't get to play with, but talking with at the B&B, like just a cool dude. He seems like a quiet, just team guy. Like a guy you're playing with, and then you're just probably thinking like, oh, like he's playing good, and then you look at the score and he's like, wow, like this guy's shooting really well. So he's also 2-1 in singles all time as well. I like to look at those because I think that's the biggest day of the tournament. So I think guys that perform well in singles should just be higher on the board in my opinion. But I mean, there's so many good golfers, but I got Cody at the 6th spot.
Character issues.
What's wrong with
Skipping draft night.
Oh yeah. Yeah, hopefully you're right. Hopefully he doesn't have a
softball season.
Softball, yeah, that's true.
The trip might be before softball season this year. You don't know.
It's a mentality thing.
He did say he'd make the draft this year, for what it's worth.
He did.
Yeah,
you got to take the man at his word.
He said he was bummed about missing Bobby Fairways, right?
Yeah.
For that, I mean,
that's a tough thing to miss.
It's a miss.
He was hammered. He didn't miss all that much. He saw the video.
Yeah. Drunk Bobby.
Yeah, but he didn't get the experience of everyone realizing what we were about to watch as we pulled it up on the TV, being like, "Oh my god!"
I'll say this about Cody. I played him in the singles match my first year. Boa constrictor guy. I mean, he just doesn't let off the gas ever. His highs aren't. He's not gonna be, making the craziest shots of all time, and he's not really gonna miss. He's just gonna be steady Eddie, punch you in the face over and over and over until you fall over. So, big fan of Cody.
Very strong singles player as well. I know. I played him in the first year, so yeah.
Yep. For sure. And then 7 spot, I've got the former first overall. I got Brendan McLaren. I think he is getting 4 less dots than he in years before, but I think there's a reason he went first overall before. I'm a believer. I think Brendan McLaren is just a good guy to have on your team. I think that scrappy round he had last year when it was him and Cully, where they came back, and I think that's just a guy that you want on your team. I didn't get a guy I didn't have a chance to play with, but I just see what he brought with Cully, Carter, and they got a special relationship, to say that. But it's
what that mean?
It's a guy. Well, the shower and everything, but I think it's a guy.
I guess Freddie wasn't there this year, so
you're right.
Poor guy.
But yeah, I got him at my 7.
I think it's a good pick. He's shown well. 2023 was a different sort of situation. Obviously, if you take out that year, he's only negative 1.72 strokes gained total. So I think, and if you pair him with the right player, we've seen it. We saw it in year 1. If he pairs with the right guy, then he can be really, really dangerous in the team matches for sure. So
absolutely. And after Brendan, I've got I got Austin Esser right after. I think good value down the board. I know he had a down year last year, but that's part of the reasons why I think he's going to have a great year this year. Just a good bounce back. Also, his swing. I played with you. When it was you and or Kyle and Esser. I was at Diamond Springs, right? And I was like, dude, this guy's swing is awesome. Like, I feel like he was playing better than his scores were last year. Lost some balls that you're just like, how did that even? I don't even know how he lost that, but I think he's got a good bounce back year ahead. I mean, there's a reason he's a 5.2. I mean, the guy can play. So, yeah, I think good value down the board.
I was talking to him a couple weeks ago, and he's rightfully so pissed about how last year went. Didn't feel good about how he played. He went home. He went grinding. The kid played last summer, and he played good. He said, and he's looking to make spring look a little different pre Kickstart. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah, I'm personally interested to see. I know we sort of lump kind of Cody and Esser into the same bucket because they've been so formidable as partners, and honestly, probably throw Preston in there as well because the three of them seem to play together a lot and have had good success. But I'm interested to see, you pair Preston, Cody, or Esser up with somebody else and maybe take them along as the secondary man, the more volatile player in the group, and kind of see how they perform. Because I think maybe Esser kind of took on a different role last year as sort of the guy that needed to be the steady one, and as the better golfer probably in his pairing most times. Didn't perform as well as he hoped. And so I'd like to see him put in a sort of a different role and see if he can play the guy that goes out and tries to make a bunch of net birdies and maybe have some blow up holes, and see him utilized a little differently, because I think he might be more valuable used that way and not paired together with Cody and have that sort of coin flip going down. Obviously Carter will tell you when they line up and they're going back and forth throwing dueling left hooks with each other. They're tough to beat, but when it's not going as well, we sort of saw that last year and they underperformed. So,
yeah,
very interesting.
Pete, take a pause here. Run us through who the conductors have so far and then who the Tornadoes have so far.
Yeah, so right now I've got the conductors with Justin, myself, Preston, Brendan McLaren. Those four. And then on the Tornadoes, we've got Cullen, Chase, Cody. And then my next pick, and then it was Cullen, Chase, Cody, Esser, Austin.
Guys that all have familiarity with each other, seems like. So
a lot of repeat guys on a lot of repeat guys on the conductors as well.
Yeah, I think Preston as a conductor is, that's interesting for sure.
Certainly.
Switch it up.
Otherwise, all repeats.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And my next pick is the two-time unsung hero. I got you, Kyle. I got you off the board this year. I know it's a little early, but I think there's a reason you're the two-time unsung. I know that singles match you had last year when you against Jay, throwing up that net 68. I just feel like you're playing good golf, man. I think what are you at? 20 or 19 dots this year? Or 20?
Yeah. 19.
I don't know. I think you're playing better golf than what it is. This is your third Kickstart now too. I think familiarity with the courses is gonna to play a factor in it. Yeah, great teammate, level-headed. I think that's just a guy you want on your team, and if you have that value too in those singles matches at the end where you can just put you against if they did it against Tricky, but I don't know. It worked once. Will it work again? But
that's the question.
I'm not a captain, so I don't need to make this decision. This is just hypothetical. but I don't know. I got you there, Kyle.
That was what
Kurt,
round
what
one
do you-
pick?
That was round 5. Pick one.
Carts, you bringing me home?
Yeah, Cart, what do you think? What do you think about that? Where Kyle slated on the big board. I'll just throw in. I have Kyle even higher up my big board. I had Kyle at my 6 on my big board because I think that performance in the singles last year. Look, I know that it is, was his career round, but I think that it showed that if somebody has a good round or plays close to their handicap, they don't have to shoot a net 66 like Kyle did. But I think if Kyle shoots a net 69, he still wins that match, and net 70 doesn't quite get it done. But we're talking about enough dots in that match that potentially you're changing the strategy of the draft or the pairings. So I wanted to get Carter's thoughts on, for the most part, we've seen lower dot guys be ranked higher and get drafted higher in the past. So is there anything changing about your draft strategy without giving too much away?
What Kyle showed last year, without giving too much away, tends me to believe that, these guys that are what we would consider our high handicappers can be extremely dangerous. The trick is then to find the guys that can do that. I think obviously we saw Kyle as one of them. I'm relatively familiar with Kyle's game. I feel like I have played a hand in, I guess, creating it in the smallest way, facilitating the drive. I had Kyle a little bit higher on my board. I feel comfortable saying that. And some other guys mentioned maybe a little bit lower than perceived, without giving too much away.
I'll also just throw it out there that the singles match was my first win in the Kickstart. That was my first round win. So, there is still volatility here with high handicappers. And
Unfortunately, yes, Kyle has never won a 4-ball match.
Never. I've never won it.
Look, that being said, he has tied twice.
Dan and I have put together some rounds to tie. Yes.
Whatever the odds
now that you brought up
Kyle,
Dan is another person who has not won a 4-ball match.
We'll get there when we get there.
But we'll get there when we get there.
Go ahead, Park. What were you going to say?
I was say whatever the odds are on Kyle winning a 4-ball this year, I'm taking it. I think you are gonna win a 4-ball match this year. I really believe it.
A guaranteed 4-ball win should just shoot up draft stock in itself.
Exactly.
That is so.
I think the league changing. Strategies
is.
changing these days. Trying to get your high dot guys paired up with the right guys is maybe the future of the sport.
We have some other high dot guys that will be coming up the board that
are interesting.
To see. Interested to see maybe what a pair.
Round 5, pick 2, P.
Rubber ducky pair might look like.
Yep. Round 5, pick 2. My board changed right before then. This one, I got Dan there. Looking at the numbers, the guy moved his handicap down 3 strokes. I played with Dan once last year too, and I know he can strike the ball well. He hits the shit out of it. So, I think also playing with Dan, you gotta be that partner to keep him level headed too. I know that one round I played with him, that was the only one. That was the one that I lost to, is when we were playing against Tricky and Preston, and we didn't do a good job on playing our game in that match. So I think if Dan's with the right guys, I think he's going to be super good. I mean, the fact that he's brought his handicap down 3 strokes too, I think is just going to raise his stock. So yeah, I got Dan there.
I love Dan.
Yeah,
I love Dan.
He's cool.
It is a roller coaster. It's a self-admitted roller coaster, and you're not getting on one of those wooden rides. It's the Top Thrill Dragster. You're gonna feel it up, and you're gonna feel it down.
You are
For
pulling some
him,
serious G's when you play with Dan, for sure.
for sure. You gotta
Physically can be tiring, mentally probably more so for him than for his partner, but
Yeah.
he's out there. You'd never criticize the guy for not giving his all. I'll put it that way.
no,
He
never.
is trying to hold the very next shot every time he steps up to the ball, potentially to his detriment. I don't know if it's my responsibility to try and work on that before the next kickstart or not, but I might give it some effort if I can somehow get out with him before the kickstart next year and see if we can try and harness some of that power.
Yeah.
I know one of my big movements being on the board, being kind of within the decision making process of the trip is adding a bit more opportunity for camaraderie, a couple more beverages, guys hanging out. I think we're also going to see a minor resurgence on an individual scale of guys bringing beers onto the course and having a couple cold ones. I don't want to go around the hoop and say who is who, but I could see Dan benefiting from a couple Colorado Kool-Aids, on each nine. I think it could do him some good.
Potential. I don't know how comfortable he is if any of these rounds are happening at 8:30 in the morning or 9:30 in the morning, but I'm sure some back nine beers will hit the cart for sure.
Right.
Who's next up? Round 6, a new round for us. PK.
New round. I got Mr. Joseph Rutano at the 6-1. I think he's gonna have the new club juice coming into this. He's getting brand new weapons. I think if anyone's ever played with Joe before, he's definitely a roller coaster. I think he'd be the first to say that as well. But ball striking, I wouldn't have been surprised if they gave him some kind of blade when he got fitted because he hits the ball so well. He's just everywhere at times, especially with the drive, but he hits the shit out of it. So I think if he keeps it on the course, he's going to play well. I think also too with him being a rookie, this will be probably the first competitive golf he's playing. It's all fun, but you know what I mean? Like he's going to be out there having a good time. I know it's jittery too though in your first kickstart, so it's you never really know how the rookies are going to come out. It's definitely, I think, having the experience playing competitive golf is only going to help you. And I know he's good. He's a good golfer, so I could see him going low too. So I'll be curious to see how he plays. But I'm excited to. Hopefully, I'm on the same team as Joe because I like playing with him.
Yeah, but while we were still offline, there was some mentions of some potential handicap management. I think Joe understands the game a little bit, and definitely the handicap committee will be monitoring the situation. I don't remember what the handicap was when he had it go down while he was in Hawaii, but it's somehow back up to 9.9 now, even though he's been in Michigan. So a little bit curious, a little bit interesting. We'll see how he manages his dots in the spring, if he's just going to be playing his home course and tearing it up. But yeah, something to monitor for sure.
Yep, for sure. And then my next pick, I got Fetty. I got him there. I think good pairing on Tricky's team. Just doing. I obviously I've never met him. I've only talked with Fetty on Fortnite. Cool dude, first of all. But I could see him being a great teammate as well too. But I mean, I think we were talking about it before the pod. He shot a net 68 recently, so he's playing some good golf. Could be a steal at the bottom, like these high handicappers that are just playing well at the right time. You never know. So, yeah, I'm excited to meet him, and hopefully he's able to make it, or kind of not hope he makes it. But if he's playing hockey, that's also good. But no, I think he could be an absolute steal if he's throwing that 68s out.
Fetty is a guy you want on your team and in your cart
Yeah.
because he is going to find your golf ball.
Yeah. Oh,
This
that's right. He would have
guy,
went up on the board if I'd known that.
this guy has an average net balls found of like 58 per round. Mind you, that includes the 12 he lost. But if he blows one off the planet, he's going in the woods and he's gonna come out and be like, "Yeah, but I found 15. 8 of them are Pro V1s. Didn't find my Kirkland though."
Yeah.
It's like
For a guy who we've always, in his hockey career has always took a lot of pride in his plus minus. He takes a lot of pride in his plus minus when it comes to golf balls on the course as well. I will say his total strokes gained is the worst of any player that's played in the Kickstart, minus 5.63. But I will say that minus 5.63 there's no way to reflect how many strokes he's saved his playing partners by finding their golf ball and them not having to take penalty strokes. So, take that for what you will. He's definitely a very valuable partner.
And a good locker room guy. I mean,
I was right about to say that.
he like one of the nicest humans. No bullshit that I've ever met in my life. I love Fetty.
Absolutely.
Can rattle the bog, can hang out, can bring you up, will stay down with you if you want to stay down. Like just a dog. Love him.
He's just the guy that wants to play well for the team the most
Mm-hmm.
in the Kickstart. Like if he hits a bad shot, the first thing he does is look at you and go, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
It's like Fetty, like we're so fine. Like
Yeah,
you have 2 dots on this hole. Like it's gonna be all right, man. Like the other thing with him being one of the highest handicappers is he also has the most readily available practice time. He's definitely playing the most, has the ability to play the most golf out of any of us. Being in Virginia, he's playing once or twice a week right now. I'm pretty sure down there.
in January.
In January, he's getting out and playing real outdoor golf. That being said, he has no driver and no wedges right now because they're sitting in my living room. So we could see some higher scores in the next week or so due to the lack of versatility.
But that's the other. He won't shut it down either. He'll just take what he has to the course and go and grind it out.
New putter this year. Unfortunately, got away from the max fly with the golf shaft.
Oh,
hockey shaft.
With the hockey shaft grip. Unfortunate. I have heard that it will remain in the bag as a training aid, not counted as a club, to, I guess, comply with the rules of golf. So it will still be there from what I understand, but we can take it as he's getting more serious and realizes that there's maybe something more to be desired on the flat top.
Love to hear it.
Awesome. And then rounding it out, last round here. Next pick, I've got Mr. Liam King there. I think, another high handicapper. This is the guy on the trip I play the most golf with, probably throughout the whole year. So I know his game very well. I will say he's never played competitive golf either, where like you're keeping track of every hole. Like there's no just pick up, we'll go to the next hole, mark me down for dribble. It's a little. Well,
there is some of that, a little bit
we
of
do that, don't we? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
no more than net double at this tournament.
No more than net double. So we're probably going to see a lot of net doubles out of Liam, but I love playing with him. The guy, I think he's the first. He doesn't play as much golf as he used to. I mean, hopefully this year's different, but he's also a high handicapper. So you never know. I think there's just good value with guys that are getting 20 dots. But yeah, that's Liam too. Like he's a good guy to play with. So I think he's gonna have a ton of fun. This fun fact: this is Liam's first golf trip ever. He's never been on one. So this will be introduced and whole new thing for him.
Listen, what you've described to me just now, listening to your words and not, feeling your feelings, what you've described to me is somebody who should be the last pick.
Yeah,
And I think the only person left that we haven't named yet should take this as some bulletin board material, because everything you just laid out says that you should not pick Liam, and you've just ranked him higher than this player who is frankly I had fairly high up my board, this guy that you have ranked last.
I don't know anything about Nate's game, so he probably should be above Liam, to be honest.
He was just on the podcast. I don't know, like we just talked to him about it.
I know. I might have missed that episode. I need to watch it.
Ending this off with a just ironclad didn't do my research is hilarious.
Yeah. Listen, I worked later. I wanted to get in the lab more on Nate, and I didn't do it. So, Nate, I'm sorry. I'm sure you're going to play great, probably better than Liam. I love Liam, but I just got you there. I'm sorry.
There's a lot of layers to unfold here. The first one being, I'm so glad personally that I had Parker jump Mac and do this instead of Mac, because we don't get that moment without Mac, and I appreciate it. I love it.
Absolutely correct.
I
wanted to, like, all these picks, I mean, you guys know, like, nothing against any of these guys. Everyone knows that. It's just, you got to pick people in certain spots. This is where I landed. Nate, I should have done my research. I'm sure you're great, man. But
just continuing to bury Liam.
I was gonna say, just
like, yeah, Nate, I'm sorry.
Me.
Like, you should be above
I feel
Liam.
more comfortable
like,
burying
Liam's never
Nate.
going to get the ball in the hole. Too tall to see the ball.
He's going to be picking up a lot, but he gets a lot of dots, and I like him. He's a nice guy. He's
good
literally
guy.
never
Like,
been on a golf
if my team gets him in the last round, I'll be happy. He's just like, I don't want to be his partner, but like, just to have him on the team would be sweet. Like,
I mean, pretty much he shouldn't be on this trip, but he's a good guy, so I have him ranked 13. Yeah.
Whoa, he should be on the trip, no doubt about it. But yeah, he could be more to be desired on the golf course.
Let's run down.
He's just not willing to even sugarcoat it or double back on what he just keeps doubling down.
He won't. I respect it.
I'll go ahead and defend Liam to defend Liam's honor.
For what?
Parker might have taken all of it. The amount that there is left. This last calendar year was the first year that I was at least statistically better than him at golf. Every year of my life before then, he was better than me by like a good margin even.
Good. So
a lot of life changes for Liam over the last year. Got engaged, getting married, got a house. I mean,
very different from you.
Little bit. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I had a golf trip to focus on.
Okay.
So does he.
Now, I think he'll. I say all that to say I think he's gonna be dialed in. I could see him taking a path of unsung hero potential. I could see in year 2 some sneaky singles match potential. You'd rather be a year too early than a year too late on Liam. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that. From everything I've heard, I'm not sure that that's true. But Parker, why don't you just run us real quick through your big board here? Give us the names in order.
All right. So, do you want me to do the teams I've picked or just Like
Two
No,
teams.
just okay, fine.
All right, so this is who I got on the conductors this year. I've got Justin, I've got me, Preston, Brendan McLaren, Kyle Steffi, Joey Rotano, Liam King.
There's experience there.
Home
There's
cooking.
experience there. There's a lot of LF boys on
familiarity.
there. A lot of LF boys on there. And then on Tricky's team, the Fornados, we've got Cullen, Chase, Cody, Austin Esser, Dan, Fetty, and Nate. So
Heart's early
That's what I-
thoughts.
that's what I cooked.
It's fun. I like this event.
A little different. We'll see how many I get right. We should do we should be on the betting slip of how many picks I get right over on.
I will say
Ooh,
I did
good call.
receive a text message from next week's podcast guest regarding something else where I let it slip to him where he was listed on his big board.
Oh no.
He said, same as last year, at least it ain't worse. And then barring some specifics, he said that he has a pretty strong feeling he's going 4-1 this year.
Care to comment on where he thinks he's going?
That's what he said.
What do
what he's
you
got
What do
himself.
you say?
Where did Parker had him right there as well, correct? The 4-1.
Is this
Parker had him 4-1. I had him 4-1 on my draft board as well.
Carts, is he 4-1 on your draft board?
Looking at my board, he's on the board for sure.
Anyone
Of
off the
being
board?
being a player on the board. I
Sounds
have
like there's at least one guy off the board.
is it Liam?
Over under 1.5 guys off the board for Carter.
there's two guys off the board, but obviously one of them we had rated pretty damn high. Almost no one rated higher than him that I'm not picking. You can figure out who he is. I won't name his name because he's readily available to provide anger on the call. Justin McVale.
Are we doing a live stream or something?
No,
Oh.
I'm not picking my brother.
Hmm.
I'm terrified that he has to leave and or will be not as mentally sharp in years past and giving up as much dots as he needs. We can't take
my
that
whole
chance.
life. This is my whole life. This is all I think about is you guys.
That's a good quote. I like
Great
that.
quote. Great
I like
quote.
that. That's a guy I want to pick 1-1.
It don't matter. I mean, like, you can say what you need to say as the song goes. Laren McPhail gives that guy a phone call. He is out of there. And then we're
Also true.
fish out of water. And then I would likely have to be the man then to play 2-on-1, no back check. And that's a tall order.
Do we have anyone out there that we know that could be a quick villain if this hypothetical happens?
We've been in talks with some people.
We
have
have been moving towards a alternate list. In the
We have a
reality of that.
confirmed designated survivor.
Okay.
And we're working towards a second.
All right.
in
No,
case
we have-
Eddie's too good at hockey.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's accurate actually.
Right.
Kelly Transit. Potential.
Is that?
Jake
Tricky's-
Transit's dad.
Oh.
That people
So-
forget.
What else we got on our agenda, Kyle?
Threw me for a loop there. There's 75% of the moms on this podcast are named Kelly.
That is true.
No, it's not. It's 33%. It's 66%.
I guess it would be 75% of the people on this podcast's mom's names are Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with
66%
R.
of the
Kelly,
moms.
which this is not a pro R. Kelly podcast.
I'm glad we got that out there. That was really important.
We can't take any risks. Not in today's political climate. This is an
Holy
anti-R.
shit.
Kelly podcast. You can quote me on that.
No, now hold on. I would like to clarify this is a pro R. Kelly's.
Our
R.
Kellys.
This is not a pro R. Kelly podcast. Kyle, can you put that in the show notes when we post this? I need some clarification via text. We need that in writing.
There was probably some ambiguity going into the pod here. I'm glad we cleared the air.
Yeah, so am I.
There was no ambiguity. I actually wanted to revert back on that statement. I hope there wasn't any. I hope it was pretty straightforward that we were an anti-R. Kelly podcast.
It should go without saying, but
Pro R. Kelly, though.
pro my Kelly and very much pro Kyle's Kelly podcast.
It's always something with this guy.
All right. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, we got ballistic to play. Mac's been buzzing our ears off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put me on the registry.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Before we go, Justin, do you want to tell us the name of your child?
I can do that. Yeah.